Welcome on to the Tortillas and Takes podcast. You are on once again with your boy, I'll be sure. And we got a game this weekend. We got a game in Tempe, Arizona. At the beginning of the season, this was marked up as a premier game in the Big 12. It was definitely a game as far as if you're a Texas Tech fan, you circled on the calendar for something to watch. As the season's gone on, it's still a pretty big game. Arizona State was ranked every week up until this previous week. Still a good team. Only 2 losses on the year. But, Texas Tech, 7.5-point favorites, favored to win. We've just been dog walking everybody we play, and hope we do that again. So to talk about that game, as well as some other interesting tidbits in Texas Tech lore this week, I got the People's Champion himself, Jeremy Gillen. What's up, John?
Ready and riled up. Been a week for Texas Tech fans, and like we were talking about pre-pod, it's kind of saved Arizona State fans from our burner wave, talking big mess, because we've been so preoccupied with other things that are going on in the world of our conference leaders. And so I guess you got a free one this year, Arizona State, which there should have been a lot of talk. There should have been a lot of talk because, we were the only team, we were the team to beat them last year. And so, even though we're facing the Big 12, the previous Big 12 champions, we're kind of coming into it like, guess what? We're the Big 12 champions now. We haven't claimed it yet, but like we the Big 12 champions now. So it's an interesting dynamic, but we didn't really get to explore that because it's been a dumb week already.
Yeah, you bring up a great point, because this is the team that won a conference championship last year and brings back their starting quarterback that's viewed by many coming into the season as one of the best quarterbacks in the country, right? They bring back actually a lot of players from last year's team. So, and they were, to a lot of people, one of the favorites to win the conference. I think they were. I know Big 12 doesn't do preseason polls anymore, but if you did, Arizona State likely would have finished first. And so but with all that being said, Arizona State has not been viewed as the big bad wolf this year, right? The Mississippi State game kind of really killed any momentum Arizona State had as the big bad wolf. The two dogs of the conference so far this year has been, oh my God, Texas Tech, and oh my God, Utah. I think those are the two teams that have instilled fear in other teams more than anybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Iowa State has scared anybody. I think people should maybe start being scared a little bit of BYU, even though they squeaked out a win recently. But they don't scare anybody. But the two teams that teams have looked on their schedule and been like, man, we got to play up in this one, has been Texas Tech and Utah. But it has not been Arizona State, Iowa State, BYU, Baylor, any of those teams. And so for Arizona State, this is their opportunity to be the big bad wolf. Like, if you want to, after the Mississippi State loss and after the loss to Utah, if Arizona State wants to put their names back in the running not just for the Big 12 championship, but also back in the running as far as being one of the better teams in the conference in the country, they need to make a mark here in this game. And it's going to be a consistent theme, or it has been a consistent theme every week of, all right, we're playing Texas Tech. This is our opportunity to show what we're made of. Let's go do it. And just nobody's been able to do it.
That's right. Every week it's, we're going to expose Texas Tech. They'll find out what our team's about, and everybody who's watching finds out what your team's about. And they ain't about that. They ain't about that trench life. They ain't about the life of the trenches. But all credit, I think, to Arizona State. Yes, that early loss against Mississippi State should not have happened. Like, I think that Arizona State had that game in hand. Mississippi State, of course, gets out a little early, but like, I think you had all the pieces to beat a Mississippi State team, even in Starkville. Now, responding with big wins against Texas State, and then 2 identical wins in a lot more ways than one against Baylor and TCU, right? That doesn't negate your loss, the Utah loss doesn't like show me this Arizona State team, because they didn't have Leavitt. So it's like, when they had Sam Leavitt at the helm, they played well. They were able to get the wins, and it's just what he is. So the real thing for me, that I don't see Sam Leavitt as like the best quarterback in the Big 12 yardage wise, or like, completion wise. I see him as one of the better quarterbacks in the Big 12, a la Brandon Sorsby, of like, I'm going to make sure my team wins the game. Like, that's what I want to do. And so, not having him against Utah, obviously the offense crumples, and Utah's a really good team. But after they play us, I mean, they have Houston, Iowa State, West Virginia, Colorado, Arizona. like Arizona State's got a pretty good schedule, a favorable schedule for the rest of the way. Having Houston in Tempe is going to be nice for them. Having Arizona in Tempe is going to be good for them. Like, I think that I think that there's just this Arizona State team isn't out of it, but they certainly took a hard knock against Utah. We'll see how they respond after Texas Tech. We'll see.
Yeah, no, you have a good point, right? The Utah Texas Tech back-to-back is going to be the toughest stretch of the schedule for them, right? After this, I think the only game that they're not favored to win right now is the Iowa State game. So if you were to pull off a shocker and win this game against Tech, you are, on the path towards Arlington once again. Because you are going to be favored against Houston, against West Virginia, against Colorado, against Arizona. Like, these are going to be games right in front of you for you to win, especially as Levitt gets more healthier and healthier. So that's a very good point. One thing I do push back on you, though, is Levitt is great. Levitt's a good quarterback. They still gave up 42 points.
Yeah.
Levitt doesn't play defense.
That's
right.
They
gave up 42 points. They gave up 21 points in the first half, 21 points in the second half. They were able to just beat Utah or beat Arizona State throughout the game. And so that's, I think if I feel differently if the game ended up being 17-10, 21-10, something to that, I'd say, okay, well, 42-10, I mean, Arizona State hasn't scored 42 points all year. Even against Northern Arizona, they only put up 38. So so that's an L regardless, no matter how you slice it. And so so that's kind of my pushback. And so, but I will say this for Texas Tech anyway. We have seen recently, so Texas playing better defenses. I've heard some criticism about how great, or better offenses, sorry. I heard some criticism about how great Tech's defense is awesome, but they haven't really played great offenses. And last week I made the comment that, like, Jalen Daniels and the Kansas offense, in my opinion, is the best offense we've played so far. I think how they played against us is better than what Devin Dampier in Utah did. They're a better offense than a Connor Wegman in Houston. And so the best offense we've played up to this point has been Jalen Daniels in Kansas. And in the second quarter, it's the only quarter all year where Texas Tech starters just got flat out outplayed. Like, there's not been a single other quarter this year where the Texas Tech starters have been just outplayed. The second quarter of the Kansas game, they were beat on both offense and defense, right? And so it does, in a sense, say, okay, well, there's at least a little bit of leak there. Can Arizona State exploit that at the very least, right? And now we're getting to a situation, if Sam Levitt is healthy, where now, okay, Arizona State might actually end up being the best offense we played, right? Because Sam Levitt as a passer, and actually as a dual threat guy, both as a passer and a runner, is definitely a better passer than Jalen Daniels. Doesn't necessarily force as much as Jalen Daniels does. They might not be as better a runner, but he's still a really good runner. And then they have probably the best wide receiver in the country, in Jordan Tyson. And so we got something in our hands, but flip side, as good as we think the offense is, again, they haven't scored more than 38 points all year. And if we talk about power conference opponents, they haven't scored more than 27 points all year against, like you mentioned, against both Baylor and TCU. So what do you make of this Arizona State offense?
It's a star-studded house of straw. So one of the big things for Arizona State is that they don't have an offensive line. They give up the most sacks. They give up the most sacks in the Big 12, and so then they've had to replace their center. There's a lot of inexperience and a lot of inability. That's why you see when you look down at their depth chart, Jordan Tyson's like the guy for them offensively because, like, hey, he can go up and get it. And so when you've got Sam Levitt panicking, running from pressure, Jordan Tyson's going to be your guy. We've seen many, many teams like that over the years where you've got a great quarterback wide receiver combo. And a lot of the times it's because you just got to dump it off to your guy. And so with Jordan Tyson already having 7 touchdowns on the year, over 500 yards, he is the guy for Jordan, for Levitt now, or for Sam Levitt. The thing is that, have they really faced a pass rush to the degree of Texas Tech? And I can confidently say no. And so that's going to be Arizona State's biggest challenge, I think, in this game, Sam Levitt or not, is how are you going to create space and scenario offensively, where you're getting your guys the ball. If you're an Arizona State fan, you want to say that like, hey, all we have to we just need to establish the rush. And Malik Brown is a good running back for them, but like Texas Tech is like the number one rush stopper right now, and it's like so. Okay, if you can't do that, what's your backup? You have to pass, and so if you're going to pass, how are you creating that? Again, how are you creating the space and scenario where you're going to get Jalen Tyson or Jordan Tyson? Man, well, almost Jordan Tyson an opportunity to make big plays, because against this Texas Tech defense that is already established itself as like one of the better run stopping overall defenses in the nation, it is slowly creeping up the calendar of like one of the better pass defenses in the nation as well. And so it's like, what do you do? Like, how do you scheme against that? We've had many teams at this point already say, well, they haven't met our running back. And you're right, we have not. And then when we do, they meet the brick wall. And so it's like, this little tug of war. At some point, you have to start scheming in a way that says, hey, really, like, I know you're a good running back, but buddy, it probably won't happen here. Or, hey, Ralik, what we're going to do is we're going to do more passing, because we have had you catch in space a lot this season, 21 receptions this season already. Let's move you out. Let's do halfback screens. Let's do like these wheel routes. Let's get you out in space to hopefully create some kind of momentum. But for Arizona State, your uphill battle is because your offensive line is so depreciated at this point in the season.
Do you think Jordan Tyson's going to want to get revenge for his brother? For those that don't know, Jordan Tyson's older brother is Jalen Tyson, former Texas Tech player, and current Cleveland Cavaliers guard. That's his brother. And actually, fun fact, their oldest brother, Barron Tyson, played college football at South Alabama. Very athletic family. Their dad played football at Florida A&M. Hey, shout out to the Tysons.
That's right.
All of them really good. But I don't know Jordan Tyson's circling. It's like, yeah, gotta give me a 100-yard game here real quick.
Send who you want. Tell who you want, buddy. Tell who you want.
Yeah. I do think one thing we'll see, because we saw it in the Kansas game, we saw it in the Houston game a little bit, is attacking the corners. That's, to me, the recipe to getting this defense. Because I don't know if there's any other recipe. Recipe to getting this defense is 3-step drop back, launch it to a one-on-one. That's it. That's the only way you're gonna be able to get down the field. 3-step drop back and then quick throw. Don't think. Don't go through progressions. Don't go through reads. Before the play starts, you say, all right, Tyson is one-on-one, which I don't think he should. I think he should be over the top help on Jordan Tyson at all times. But let's say you see Tyson one-on-one, and you say, all right, cool. Hut, take that. Oh, if you're in a shotgun, actually, it's not even a 3-step drop back. If you're in a shotgun, it's just take it 1 step back and then just launch that puppy 40 yards down the field and hope that Jordan Tyson gets it. That's it. And it's worked. It's worked a couple times. Kansas was able to do it a few times. Houston did it once. It's worked a couple times. That's the only, to me, to really get down the throat of this defense, it's got to be quick throws, attack the secondary, don't let the front seven get in your way, and pray that the ball that you throw gets past the linebackers.
If I'm Arizona State, that's exactly right. I'm looking at that second touchdown for Kansas where they tossed it over the middle. I can't remember that wide receiver, but it was basically just a little seam route that jumped right behind Jacob Rodriguez, and he was wide open touchdown. And whether it was 10 yards, whether it was 80 yards, he was going to get the touchdown, right? He just had that much space. If I'm Arizona State's offensive coordinator, I am looking for where is Texas Tech motioning. Now, again, that's going to be your chance. You'll do it, and we'll go to the half, and then Shield Wood will go, yeah, that's not happening again. And then you got to switch your playbook up.
That's what happened against Houston, too, if you remember. We blitzed Jacob Rodriguez. We were one-on-one against the safety. What's his name? Backup quarterback for Houston, Chris, makes the best throw he's ever made in his life on a post route. That's, hey, and that's the only way you can win. But here's the thing, to that point, Jeremy, both Kansas and Houston, it worked, 3 or 4 times total. Yeah. Right? That might get you, for Kansas, it got them 17 points. For Houston, it got them 11 points total at the end of the game. There's only so much.
You're going to need more. You're going to need so much more.
There's only so much. That is only going to work so many times, right? And so, for Arizona, for Arizona State, I do think they have the goods to do so. Like you mentioned with Malik Brown, pretty good running back. Jordan Tyson, like I said, one of the best, if not the best wide receiver in the country. And then Sam Levitt, who's going to be an NFL draft pick next year. But also, flip side, Sam Levitt is hurt. He is, by all accounts, likely going to play,
Yeah.
right? But they held him out last game because they weren't confident in his ability to finish the game against Utah. And you're playing a better pass rush this game. He's likely not going to be 100%, though he's going to play. And a big part of Sam Levitt's game, I think what makes Sam Levitt so dangerous is as good as a thrower he is a dual threat guy. He can run. He's their second leading rusher on the team. And it is an ankle injury. So you basically take that away against the one team you really don't want to take that away from. So yeah. What does Arizona State do to protect Sam Levitt in this game?
As short of snap to throw plays that you can conjure, because you've got one of the worst pass defenses in the Big 12 and one of the best pass rushes in the country. Duking it out, that is not a recipe for success. And I don't mean to dog Arizona State. Like, still can be a good team. It's just the numbers thus far in the season, halfway through the season, are not proving to be in your favor. And this Texas Tech team has shown in multiple scenarios a defensive response that warrants like championship caliber level talent, right? And it's like the way that Texas Tech responded to Kansas's momentum in the second half, or in the second quarter through the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, it was just a completely different beast for Texas Tech's defense. Kansas said, you know what? This game's over. Put in the second string quarterback. We ain't going to do that. We ain't going to keep you out there going to die. Now you're telling me that Sam Levitt, who is 100%, not 100%, is going to go out there with a defensive or with an offensive line that is made of paper mache or has not proven otherwise, and is going to survive the pass rush duo that we have. Like, somebody is going to get hurt. Somebody is going to get hurt unless you scheme for quick pass plays. You cannot be playing around with this idea that, or here's another idea. Just hold and hope that the referee doesn't call it. That's another idea. Kansas actually got away with a few holds. They were holding pretty hard there at some points in the third and fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But Arizona State's going to really have to scheme, in my opinion, a much quicker playbook. And they've had some hurry-up offense throughout the season. You're just going to have to do that the whole game.
So offensively, one thing to note for Arizona State is that they do like to go for it on fourth downs. Second in the conference on fourth downs. They've gone for it on fourth down 20 times. Kenny Dillingham likes to gamble with it. If it's a 4th and 2 from his 45, he's probably going to go for it. And especially in a game like this. Games like this are games I think Kenny Dillingham absolutely loves, because especially if the game is close in the second half, these are the games where he is going to take the chances because he's not supposed to win anyway. You tell Kenny Dillingham that he's a 7.5-point home underdog, he's pulling out all the stops. He's doing everything. We might see a couple trick plays in this game. We may see, but especially going for it on fourth down, because what did he have to lose? And he's that type of coach, right? So I expect a few fourth down opportunities here, and they're good at converting them. 65% on the year, 13 out of 20 for converting on fourth down. So I expect it. Here's what I will say. It's interesting, though. This team is, let me see, make sure I got this right. Yeah, second worst third worst. Sorry. Thanks, Kansas. Third worst in the conference in third down conversion. Third worst. Not great. And it's still not good even if you add the fourth down. A lot of the times you like we talked about it before, if it's a 3rd and 10, but you're going to go for it on fourth, it's okay to not get the third if you're getting fourth. But when you add them both together, right, you add third and fourth down together, it's still not great, right? It's still going to be 41 out of 101. Which still goes to 41%. So it's still a 41% conversion, even if you add them two together. So either way, they're not converting. They're not doing a very good job of it from the Arizona State side. And like you mentioned before with the sacks, I mean, Sam Levitt's gotten sacks. He's given up 12 sacks already this year, 3 more from the Jeff Sims game just last week. So 15 sacks altogether. And against this pass rush that just got 9 on freaking Kansas just last week. And now you have a hobbled Sam Levitt. That was with a mobile quarterback, one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the entire conference, one of the most mobile quarterbacks in the entire country. Now you have Sam Levitt, who is usually pretty mobile, but going to be hobbled. and you want to put them out against this. It's going to be pretty tough for them. One thing I will say, Jeremy, before you go, one thing to expect in this game, you're going to see the color yellow quite a bit. There'll be a lot of flags thrown. The number one team in penalties in the conference is Texas Tech, unfortunately. The number 2 team, Arizona State. 1 and 2 in penalties going up against each other. That's going to be Howard Sampson. Please stop holding. I beg of you. The rest of the O-line, please stop false starting. Right. Defense actually is done. It's actually been most of our penalties, I think, has been on offense, to be honest. Yeah. Defense has actually been decent. A couple of DPIs that I don't always 100% agree with. There are a couple holdings that I'm like, there was one that was really bad, I want to say, in the Utah game. I'm like, come on, man. So a lot of them on the offense side of the ball. But either way, we got to cut down on the holding. But I expect to see a lot of flags in this game between 2 teams that haven't been the most disciplined overall. Anything else, Jeremy?
So if you're looking at Arizona State's offense versus Texas Tech's defense by the numbers, right? So Arizona State on average 26 points a game. That ranks 85th in the country. Texas Tech's defense holding opponents to 12 points average, 7th in the country, right? Passing yards is kind of where we have an even kill here. So Arizona State's used to getting about right under 200 passing yards a game, or right at 200 passing yards, and we're used to giving up right under 200 passing yards. So that's pretty even kill. Rushing yards, Arizona State averages about 203 rushing yards a game. Texas Tech gives up about 67. So meet the wall. Time on the field, Arizona State does spend a lot of time on the field on offense. They're actually ranked 6th in terms of time on the field, 34 minutes usually in a game. And then yards per play, they're used to getting about 5 yards a play, but Texas Tech are only giving up about 3 yards a play. So again, all the numbers just really here favoring Texas Tech. The slimmest margin is the passing consideration, but that kind of goes out the window when you look at like what we talked about earlier. Arizona State just not facing as aggressive. Now the Utah game was really illustrative. So Texas Tech will bring a very similar passing rush to that game. So just not great, Bob.
Not great, Bob. Penetrable force versus a very movable object. That's what you're saying. And so, I mean, I think you mentioned it before. This Arizona State offense was very hyped up coming into this year. Sam Levitt, Jordan Tyson, Raleigh Brown. And it just hasn't, as far as scoring points, has not lived up to its billing. Against Power 5 opponents, never more points than 27, which is not gonna do it against this team. So as we flip to the other side of the ball, defensively, what do you got to say about defensively the defenders on Arizona State? Who really screams out to you there?
Well, not many. I mean, if you just want to look at people who are kind of leading the team, it's their linebacking crew between Kashawn Elliott and Jordan Crook. That's the same way that it was last season. We're not facing really anything new with this Arizona State defense. The problem is that they've not really created a no-fly zone, right? So while that they can crunch down on the run pretty decently throughout the season, they've done a fairly poor job at giving up probably about over 200 yards a game in passing, and that ranks pretty poorly. And rushing yards, much less, right? So usually about 100 yards a game. So Arizona State's got an edge in the rush defense. But the problem is that if we're not going to kill you with our run, we're going to be looking to the air. So right now for me, like the linebacking crew, and again, how are they going to scheme differently for this game whenever Texas Tech is so balanced both in rush and pass, especially if say Baron Morton doesn't end up playing, but Will Hammond is, and they have the playbook for Hammond. So we get that from the get-go. Kashawn Elliott and Jordan Crook are going to be huge at covering the gaps that the guys along their line are not going to be able to, that they're going to be, covering the gaps that they're not going to be able to, what I'm saying? I don't know what I'm saying. This English is getting hard for me right now. The line does a good job, but there are still gaps. Kashawn Elliott, Jordan Crook, got to fill those gaps, right? That's going to be the difference maker. I got you.
Yeah, well, the problem is you're talking about gaps, gaps in five different usages right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think all really good points there. I also want to kind of mention when it comes to Arizona State, and filling gaps. They are a team that is middle of the road when it comes to pass defense, right? So they give up approximately 225 yards a game. And when I say middle of the road, I mean kind of towards the bottom of that. So Baron Morton who's questionable for this game, but I think it looks like he's likely going to start in this one. The Baron Morton, I actually do think if you're going to watch the tape on this, you're going to have some opportunities. You're going to have some advantages to be able to push the ball down the field. Arizona State does. They give up the booty a little bit, right? They're going to give some opportunity for you to do pretty well defensively in this game. And so you want to take advantage of that. Run defense, or you want to take advantage of that. You want to go up against Rouser, their corner, Wilson, their safety. Wilson is somebody who likes to get into it a bit, one of their better safeties overall. But that being said, he also gets cooked sometimes, right? Especially when it's one-on-one. We have the receivers and CD and Reggie Virgil and Koi Ike to be able to do it. And so I think we're going to be able to take advantage of guys like Robinson, like Wilson, like Robinson, like Abney, like Warner, who had to kind of get in the thick of things a little more than they would like to, just because teams have been able to take advantage of that weakness. On the other side of things, though, run defense-wise, just like we were talking about for Tech defense and how good Tech's run defense is, Arizona State's run defense is pretty good too, right? And so I think as a defense, this is one of the situations going to be strength on strength. Cam Dickey and Jacoby Williams have just been absolutely balling this year. Both of those guys have just been incredible. Arizona State, and you mentioned how Texas Tech is one of the best defenses in the country when it comes to run defense. Arizona State's third in the conference in run yards per game themselves, right? Only giving up 111 yards per game on the ground. So Arizona State has a little bit of strength there. But as we saw against Utah, when it's strength on strength, Texas so far has been able to win out more often than not. So we'll see what really happens there. But I think one thing that you really have is if it's me, if I'm Mac Leftwich, I'm very interested to see how there's two ways to attack this. You either attack their weakness, which is pass defense a little bit more. You drop back, you pass it, you attack that weakness more than anything, and hoping that opens up the run game that is staunch. Or, this is being a big bully, is what it's being, which is, you know what, we're going to attack your strength and see just how strong you are in this. Let's attack the run and see if you really are the third best run defense in the conference. Let's see if this really is a strength for you. If it is, all right, then we got to kind of switch up our game plan and do what I was mentioning before. But if we break that run defense open, ooh, buddy, it's going to be a long day for you because now you got two weaknesses. It ain't a strength and a weakness. It's just all weakness, and we're about to destroy you. And that's real big bully ball. I'll say if we start seeing Cam Dickey and Jacoby Williams run the ball early in the first quarter, we're just being bullies. We're just being bullies. We're looking at the tape, and we don't see Arizona State in front of us. We see us. We are competing against ourselves to see just how much bullies we can be. And so I'm very interested to see how that turns out.
That is a really good way to think about it, that a game like this, like Texas Tech has the edge everywhere, where we can really improve on our own game, and where it's like a game against ourselves. Is this, when you're playing a good rush defense, can you still run the ball? And that may not be the way that we've seen it against other teams like Kansas and Houston, where it's like big chunk yardage and stuff like that. But can we consistently get 3-4 yards a carry against a team that has been pretty good throughout the season, keeping opponents from doing that? I think if you can do that, like you're saying, that's a really good litmus test for Texas Tech down the stretch, especially through any playoff game. Like, will they be able to step it up and maintain their own kind of playbook identity and just say, I'm better than you? A la, what was it, Reggie Virgil against Houston, where they went to him, missed it, and he said, just please toss it up again. And they did the same exact play, and he got it over the guy. It's like, do you have that confidence, talent, and ability to just impose your will on opposing teams? Because, like, that's what good teams do. Like, you don't always have to change it. You don't have to be like this chameleon, amorphic, like, I'm going to become something you've never seen before. It's just so I can get a chance to win. It should be like, oh my God, no, we're the best team you're going to face all season. I'm not backing down. I'm not going to back down. I'm going to back down. I'm not going to back down. And I think this is a really good game to, don't abandon Mac Leftwich. Don't abandon the run. Keep hammering them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Jeremy, as that's being said, right, Texas Tech defense versus Arizona State offense, who on Texas Tech's defensive side of the ball needs to ball in order for Tech to get this W?
Jacob Rodriguez, our Lord and Savior, Jacob Rodriguez, and
All right, first.
it's for the simple. That's right. I'm gonna get struck. It's for the simple fact that our pass rush is going to get there, but Sam Levitt's a mobile quarterback and likes to move around. Like Jacob Rodriguez, and really Jacob Rodriguez, Bryce Ramirez, Ben Roberts, anybody, John Curry, like the people that are going to be in that middle section of the field, like whether you're playing in a zone, whether you're playing man, whether you're playing a spy, whatever that formation is going to be, whatever it's going to be, the linebackers are who is going to have to be on their top game. Because if Sam Levitt gets out and then, there's a guy in space, Levitt has the ability to make that pass. We've had guys in the past where Oregon State, like Malik Murphy, was like, he got out, but he didn't have the talent and ability to get the pass to the open guys, to be behind him, be in front of him. With Sam Levitt, he does have that ability. So the entire linebacking crew, and I'm just picking Jacob Rodriguez because, let's continue to build that All-American stature. But like the linebacking crew is going to be the make or break of like how much does Arizona State actually get? How close did they get? How much momentum are they getting down the field? Are they going to be able to score any? It's going to really come down to the linebackers for me.
Top tier analysis, folks. Only here on Tortilla Takes can somebody be asked who's the guy that needs to step up, and you say, that guy is like one of the best linebackers in the country, preseason Big 12 Player of the Year. Yeah, he's the guy that we need. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now that we got that answer out of the way, so the guy I'm actually going to say is going to be Lee Hunter. Lee Hunter, step right on up, buddy. So, and I'm going to pull a little bit of a Jeremy answer and say, really, I'm looking at the D line itself, but I really like Lee Hunter because Lee Hunter right up the middle. Where it's really hard for quarterbacks that are hobbled to be able to do anything is when you get pressure right in your face, right up the middle. Now that's when you take that step back. Now that's when your ankle starts to hurt because you got to try to run out. Now you try to run out and up. David Bailey's there. Try to run out and up. Romello Heights there. Lee Hunter, I expect you to do great things. Not only that, because Jeremy pulled up a phone to see something here. I was trying to look up their injury report. And,
buddy.
There are 5 offensive linemen that are 5 offensive linemen that are either out or hurt. 5, Jeremy. Yeah. So yeah, tough sledding. Ben Coleman, their starting center, out. He's not playing. Let's see here. First of all, Dolis Taloma, great name.
Great name. Rolls right off the top.
Dolis, not like it's spelled Dough.
Yeah,
like bakery dough or like cash dough. Dolis Taloma, guard, out. Brent Helton, right? Really, really good guy. They expected a lot from him, out. Wade Helton, actually don't know if there's relation there. He's gonna play, but he hurt. Kyle Scott, he's gonna play, but he hurt. 5 guys that are all, and Kyle Scott's that guard. He's likely the guard's gonna be good lining up him. Is gonna be lining up against Lee Hunter. Yeah, good luck being hurt, injured, and having to go up against Lee Hunter. So, sorry, Levitt. I don't know what to tell you. That sack number is going to go up, and you're not going to feel great afterwards. All right.
Reminds me. Hold on. It reminds me of a call that RG3 had in the last game.
The call you love so much.
No, God, stop that. Stop that. No. I have never in our private chat, in our public, I never have once referenced that. So Albert's just trying to bait me. It came after a holding call, and RG3 was basically like, hey, like at a certain point, you're going to get beat. So what you need to do as a lineman is you need to turn to your quarterback and just go, run! Because it's like, can't do anything. Get out of here. That's going to be Sam Levitt this weekend.
Yeah.
Run.
These gonna tell his own lineman, hey, we need a safe word.
That's right. Hey,
just let me know when you get beat. Just say.
If you feel like on this rep, you're not gonna have it. Just say
it. Before the snap, he looks back at Sam. He's like, no.
Oh
You
God.
see this fear in his eyes. He's just like he calls a timeout. Coach is like, why
I'm
you call
done.
timeout? Do you see,
Do you
Coach?
see what's going on?
Yeah, Coach.
Oh, my
come on.
ankle. I gotta.
I need a double team. Y'all didn't call double. Y'all want me one-on-one? They're blitzing. What do you want me to do here? Okay, no, I'm not. No, Coach. They call. Hey Scott, do you know the play? Oh, I know the play. All right, you ready to execute? No. Do I know the play, or do you want me to execute, or I'm going to execute the play? Those are two different questions. Okay, I know the play. That's I'm not sure if I'm going to execute it. That's different. All right, I know the play.
Difference.
Yeah, I know the play. All right. Offensively, who's the guy on Texas Tech's offense that needs to step up? And is it the quarterback? Is that where you're going?
It's the quarterback.
Yeah.
No, I would say our offensive line. Our offensive line has done a really good job lately at creating gaps. Like in that last game, I think we got the best look at this offensive line creating rushing gaps. And so I think that I can't pick one guy. Howard Sampson, for me, it's just the offensive line to actually, you know what? I'll back it up because you're going to be a troll about it anyways. Reggie Virgil. Hey, Reggie Virgil. You're supposed to be wide receiver one. If Arizona State's going to not be a great pass defense, if they're not able to defend the pass well, why don't we do what they do? And let's just keep passing to Reggie, and he can just keep bullying that cornerback until they decide to pull over two guys. And then when they do that, we'll go to a different way. So Reggie Virgil, step up.
I was about to troll you a little bit about your pick. I will say Howard Sampson does need to stop these penalties.
Stop the penalties, man.
It's a holding penalty per game. It's like the second I see the flag for holding, I don't have to question the number or the false start. I don't have to question it. So yeah, he doesn't need to start. He actually reminds me a lot as a Texans fan of Laramie Tunsil, because Laramie Tunsil was top 3 left tackle in football, but he was due for 2 false starts a game. Right? He led the league in false starts by a gap, 10. I think he had 22, and the next closest was 12. It was something crazy. And so it was, and it's one of those things where a lot of fans, right? The fans don't really know offensive line play, right? They don't really know what makes a great offensive lineman. They see you all work together and you block, and you're either good or you're bad, right? And that's just as a unit, you're either good or you're bad. And so the Texans last year were really bad. But Tunsil himself, personally, when it was one-on-one, he was amazing. But as a fans, all you know is, man, that Tunsil guy, he kept getting false starts, so he can't be that good, right? And so Howard Sampson is starting to beat you a little bit. A lot of Tech fans are like, how good is he really? Because he keeps getting penalties. It's like, well, no, he's still really good the other 95% of the time.
Yeah.
But you can't keep getting penalties, right? And so, so fix that one. My guy, in kind of in the same vein, is I went Coy Eakin. And so Coy Eakin's been getting off scot-free a little bit. He's been getting off scot-free a little bit. He's because he is one of Baron Morton's favorite targets. And he helps Bear Morton out a lot, but he also has made a few errors in route running. He's made a few errors in a couple of drops. And I think and I'm calling him out, not because I don't think he has the ability to do it. I'm calling him out because I expect that much more out of him, right? He's a junior now. He has the ability. He is a fan favorite. And once Coy Eakin is unlocked, I think everybody the offense in general is that much better. We know Virgil and Douglas are going to what they bring to the table. And so when you have 3 receivers that are just on it, both from a technical standpoint, from a route running standpoint, from a doing everything the right way standpoint, it just makes it that much better. So I think Coy Eakin in this one with a big game, especially against a secondary that's not that great, I think it gives us the opportunity to really break this game wide open. All right. Anything else you want to say about Texas Tech as they head into this game?
No, I'm favored. I'm favorite that we like the favorite.
I was about to say you sir are blessed and highly favored. But
that's right, buddy. 3 p.m. kickoff, huge win for Texas Tech. Yeah. We are getting lucky with the not night games on the road, and I will admit that. A night game in Utah, different. A night game in Tempe, different. We're getting a little lucky, and I'm not upset about it. But I do recognize that blessing.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, so let's go to the games this week in the Big 12. Starting off with at noon on Saturday, we do have on Fox Sports 1 the Blue Bonnet Battle.
Call it what it is.
Call it what it is. The Blue Bonnet Battle between Baylor and TCU in Funky Town, Fort Worth on ESPN. Let me tell you something. That's pretty embarrassing. I want to dog ESPN for putting this game on ESPN too, but I know a lot of
private schools.
Yeah, well, it's Baylor TCU should be a pretty big game. It should be. It's just this. Both of the teams right now are out of the top 25, whether you believe they should be or not. But they are. They're both 4-2. They're both teams that were already potential Big 12 contenders. Now they're starting to look more like dark horse candidates. Like neither of them are out of it, and both of them have shown skill and ability. But both of them also have shown the ability to lay an egg. So in this Blue Bonnet Battle in Fort Worth, TCU 2.5-point favorites. Who you got?
Yeah, interesting. I think this is totally a toss up, and because neither of those stadiums really matter to me in terms of home field advantage, I think that I literally don't know. Baylor, great, but it's gonna be close. Both teams have had a kind of a disappointing stretch of games, even in their victories. It's okay, not really showing much, or actually showing a lot of weakness here. So, yeah, for me, I guess Baylor goes in and makes 50 TCU fans upset, and everybody forgets about the game by 3.
Yeah, and I said 12 p.m. It's actually 11 a.m. I'm still my computer showing Eastern time. So I think Baylor's the better team. I preface this by saying I think Baylor is a better team. I think they have the better quarterback. I think I don't necessarily know if they have the better running back, but their running back is a lot more yards in Washington. I do think overall, if it was a neutral site game, Baylor would win. However, where I do disagree with you is that if this was in Baylor, I don't think it'd be hyped up. It being in TCU and Fort Worth, I think those fans will live for the moment a little bit more than you would in Waco. Mm-hmm. And I think there will be a little bit of a home field advantage, especially in this game for TCU. So I think that carries TCU to a close victory, winning by a field goal at the end. Though like you said, I do think Baylor is the better team. And this, this is kind of if TCU loses this game, they're kind of out. I don't see them recovering enough for the Big 12 championship. Baylor losing this game really is an uppercut to their chances as well. But I do got TCU winning by the hair of their chinny chin chin. So if that game is kind of like a Big 12 contender elimination game, this game is kind of like a Big 12 are you for real game, and that is Arizona at Houston. Two teams that neither of them were teams we were really talking about in that capacity coming into the season, and both teams have surprised. Houston sitting at 5-1, Arizona at 4-2. But last week, actually, pulling out all the stops and coming very close to a nice upset win. Arizona, though the game's in Houston, Arizona is a 1.5-point road favorite. A little bit of a surprise to me in that aspect. So 11 a.m. game. Who you got, Jeremy, winning this one?
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. I think their game against BYU, even in a loss, showed a lot of where Arizona can go from here at this point in the season. I feel like they're starting to really dial things in, both offensively and defensively. Now, there's plenty of growth to be had, but this game is, when we've talked about it in the last podcast, that this game we're interested in seeing who's more for real, right? Houston has an opportunity to continue going hey, for Texas Tech, that's the biggest win is Houston goes and thumps Arizona, and it's oh, wow, guess Texas Tech really was. It was good. It was a good victory. But at the same time, Arizona's looking to get that edge. They had such a disappointing season last season in the Big 12. They are dying to get a moniker win this season, and Houston would be that so far. So I do think it's going to be close. 11 a.m. in Houston. You're not going to have much of a home field advantage. Now they did have, after the win last week, maybe more fans will come back. But at the same time, I don't know, man. I'm feeling like Arizona's going to squeak this one out. I think that they may win by 7. I think they may get like a touchdown late in the 4th to really kind of hammer it in. And Houston's just one more time disappointed at home. But I feel Arizona's due one, and this is going to be it.
Yeah, I'm curious if the 11 a.m. start more affects Houston or Arizona negatively, because for Arizona that's 10 a.m. local time.
Yeah.
Right. I believe they're in Mountain Time, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, they're still in Pacific time because they don't switch over. So it's 9 a.m. start for Arizona local time. But then flip side for Houston, nobody's going to show up at 11 a.m. I live in Houston. We don't show up on time for these things, right? If this was an afternoon or an evening game, I'd actually be very confident that the UH fans would pack the stadium out. 11 a.m., they may buy the tickets, and it may say that it is like a 90%, 100% capacity. I don't doubt that. Then you watch the game, especially in the first half, and you're like, where is everybody? We don't show up to things on time. Whole city's on CPT time. So I don't know who it negatively affects more. This is, though, a game that I'm very curious to see who's for real, because I don't know if I believe in either team yet. I agree with you that Arizona loss to BYU did show me that, okay, y'all got something, right? Y'all really got something. Y'all did something. But let's see how they do on the road, because their last road game, their only true road game this year, they got spanked by Iowa State. So I'm going to give it to Houston, which is like a death sentence to Houston, because, if you and I disagree, I'm going to lose. So sorry to TCU and Houston, because y'all are both going to lose because I picked you this year. But I'm going to go Houston in this one, winning this one. So, all right, the TNT game of the week. The noon game, West Virginia at UCF. UCF 7.5 point winner favorites, and a game that even the players' parents won't be watching.
Dang. Yeah, give me the Knights, and really no notes needed. West Virginia's just not a good team.
Yeah, same. I'll go UCF. 7.5 point favorites is, I think, a bit much, but West Virginia is the second worst team in the conference. UCF just happens to be the third worst, and for once, this will be play out in UCF's favor in that way. So somebody's gonna get their first conference win, and we both think it'll be UCF. All right, 7:00 on ESPN2. Speaking of the worst team in the conference, that's Oklahoma State at home hosting your boy Brennan Sorsby and the Cincinnati Bearcats. Cincinnati 21.5 point road favorites. The question isn't whether or not they win. The question is whether or not they cover.
Cincinnati covers.
They covered 21.5.
Yeah. Oklahoma State's given up pretty much that to every other team they've played. Baylor, Arizona, Houston. Cincinnati's got good offensive firepower. They can make it happen. And I like their defense, so for sure.
I think they do not cover, because they gave up 20. They did not give up 21 to Baylor. They only lost that one by 18, my friend. Houston, I don't do math, 22. So they did lose by 22 to Houston. But I think Oklahoma State bounces back in a big way and loses by 20.
So just barely, not 21.
Just barely. Yeah, they hold out. Good, a nice 40-20 loss. So good on you. Good on you, Cowboys. And off the strength of that section where everybody takes their shirt off. All right. And then so the second big, talking about rivalries, we talked about the Blue Bonnet battle. Such a terrible name. The Baylor TCU game. And then also another big rivalry game, big noon kickoff is in Provo, Utah this week for a 7:00 showdown on Fox. Utah at BYU. Who wins this edition of the Holy War, Jeremy? Utah, 3.5 point road favorites. I'm also surprised by that one. What do you think, Jeremy?
Maybe the road favorite is more of a result of BYU's game against Arizona than it is like BYU versus Utah. Though Utah has responded mightily after their Texas Tech game. BYU has certainly shown that it is vulnerable in some big ways. And I think that that's important because Utah has stop that. Utah has oh God. Utah has really one of the big question marks about Utah whenever the technical difficulties. Utah has shown offensively the question marks all around Devin Dampier after our game was is he who they say he is? Is he able to do it? Well, folks, Devin Dampier is everything and more that Utah has been hoping that he outside of our game. He went out against West Virginia, 48 points, Arizona State, 42 points, right? Now playing in Provo, they have Holy War is the biggest game of the year for both of them. So having a 7 p.m. game at BYU. But I'll tell you this, I've seen the propaganda. I've taken a propaganda at the numbers. Utah usually wins the Holy War. Utah has the advantage across the entirety of the series. So for me, the 3.5 line for Utah, not surprising. I think that Utah is going to prove it deserves to be a top 15 team. BYU, no reason to be kicked out of the top 25. Hear me, AP voters. But I do think Utah squeaks out a win in Provo, disappointing all of the Provo Mormons.
The words uttered by Jeremy Gillen does not reflect Tortillas and Takes podcast or Albie Shore's brand.
Albie Shore's brand.
I'm going to make a statement. Real quick, before I make the statement, Cincinnati plays both Utah and BYU, correct?
I don't know.
Let me see this before I make this statement here, because I got a statement to make. They do. All right, cool. The winner of this game will play Texas Tech in Arlington. Book it. Book it. The winner of the Holy War right here will play Texas Tech in Arlington. I think that's how big this game is. This is a Big 12 semifinal game.
Right? I like it.
Yeah. To me, this is the second and third best team in the conference, and this is a game to find out who's number 2. And so really, and I believed in BYU, but I've been saying that eventually Bear Bachmeier being Bear Bachmeier is going to rear its ugly head, and I think this might be the game. Now, I will say this. Utah has not played in a close game this year. It's been all blowouts. And BYU's playing a lot of close games this year. Bear Bachmeier has thrived in close games. So that's what does make me kind of want to give the edge to BYU. But I do think it'll be a 31-24 Utah win. I think Utah's going to win in a road game that's going to have a lot of red in the stands. So yeah, this is going to be a really, really big matchup. I'm definitely going to be very excited to watch it. It's my daughter's birthday, so I won't be watching it live, but I'll be, seeing some of the highlights. So yeah, it will be a really fun, really good game, and a game and a game that everyone else will be able to watch after the real game of the week, the game and everyone cares about. And actually, funny enough, that game follows the Texas Tech at Arizona State game on Fox. So right when we're done watching Texas Tech win, buried the lead. Watching the game go at 3 p.m. goes right into the Utah BYU game at 7, so you don't got to change the channel. But Jeremy, Texas Tech only 7.5 point favorites on the road at Arizona State. Does Tech pull off the W? What's the score and why?
It's wild that it's only 7.5. Texas Tech has given you no reason to think otherwise at this point. I think that Texas Tech covers that clearly. I think they clear that number. Okay. I think that it ends up being a Texas Tech victory, probably in the realm of 35 points scored, maybe 14 for Arizona State. And the main reasons why for me that I'm going has no doubt is that it comes down to the trenches, and it has this whole season. How does Texas Tech's pass rush fare against Arizona State's papier-mâché offensive line? And how does that affect Sam Leavitt for the first quarter that he's going to play before he injures whatever it is again? And then you get the second result with whoever the secondary the QB2 is. I just think that this Texas Tech team is built uncharacteristically for the time of Joey McGuire's tenure. But this Texas Tech team is built to win on the road. Defensively, there are none other that match up to us. And offensively, Arizona State, I don't think while they may be able to slow down the run, opening up passing lanes is just going to be too overwhelming for them with the amount of receivers that we have that can catch, receivers and tight ends included. I think Arizona State just isn't built to sustain over the course of 4 quarters this Texas Tech team. Now, the first quarter may be pretty slow. Hell, Arizona State might even be the first team to lead us, but they are not going to win the game. So for me, I think this is an easy 35-14 call. Texas Tech wins on the road, goes to 7-0.
I hate when you make me want to change my prediction. So I have 38-17. So also a 21 point. So I need to stop letting you go first. I have a 38-17. So and also a 21 point win, 21 point win overall, which would actually be the closest margin of victory all year. Funny enough, in every game we played this year, the close margin of victory currently is 24. We beat Utah by 24, and we beat Houston by 24, both on the road. And so this one I think will be by 21. For all the reasons you kind of mentioned, I do think that Dillingham is going to have some. We're going to have some turnovers on downs because he's going to go for a 4th down. I think he's going to fail a few times, right? Even that I have him kicking 1 field goal, and even that one I think is because it's going to be 4th and 11 where he's not going to have a choice but to kick a field goal. But I think overall we're going to prevail. I mean, we prevailed all year. I think Levitt's going to be hobbled. I think he's going to be hurt. He's going to be hit, and we might even see Jeff Sims in this game. This is a tough game to be hurt in overall. And so, but yeah, I got Texas Tech winning it. And before we kind of get off the soapbox, you kind of mentioned it before comparing the stats, but like you mentioned, Tech has when it comes to Tech offense versus Arizona State defense, we have the advantage in every single way, every single rank, yards, rushing yards, passing yards, quarterback rating, yards per attempt, yards per completion. We beat them every single way, right? When you flip the script and you look at the Arizona State offense versus Texas Tech's defense, we beat them in 90% of the ways. And so kind of similar to the Kansas State comparison there. And I think this game is very similar to us playing Kansas. A decent offense with a really good quarterback, one really good star player, and a defense that's kind of questionable, not bad, but also not good. And I think we beat them in a similar way. We might end up even also having 17 points that I mentioned might be all in 1 quarter, like the Kansas game. But I think the game is going to operate very similarly to Kansas, just without the 3rd quarter fireworks show and a head coach that's a little bit of a B. So
accurate. Sounds good to me.
So before we get out of here, only other thing, let's talk about the head coach a little bit of a beat. So the Big 12 decided after it was found out that Lance Leipold had a lie told, which is that come on, that was good.
It was good. It was good. But if I said it, you would have made fun of me. So
yeah, well, because you don't put out gold like this. Okay, this is grade A beef here. This is USDA certified. Just joking. But I lost my train of thought. After Lance Leipold, the whole pocket knife thing wasn't true. The Big 12 decided, you know what? Screw it. Anyways, the first time y'all throw something, it's a warning. The second time, it is a $100,000 fine. And they want to eradicate the tortilla tossing. That's what they want to do. And we talked about it in the offseason. I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a little bit, but Jeremy, I want to hear your opinion. Because we talked about it in the offseason, and now this is happening in a mid-season rule change, all stemming off of something that wasn't even real. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so I'll start by saying that, I mean, this whole scenario Lance has fabricated. I remember when it came out, when Leipold was like, "Hey, pocket knife on the field, hit one of my guys in the head," right? We all smelled something wrong with that for 1,001 reasons. The story was so obviously fabricated for us, but I think the majority of us were like, "Hey, if there really was a knife, then that's bad. Get that guy out of here. Get him in trouble. That's just no nonsense policing." Now, when it came out that it was false, that it was fabricated, Texas Tech fans validated once again, validated and vindicated of like, there's another coach, here's another person trying to say like, oh, because you lost or because whatever, Texas Tech's just a terrible place. Like, let's create this narrative about Texas Tech. They're so bad, batteries, frozen water bottles, this, that, and the other. Now pocket knives. They're throwing tortillas with pocket knives in them. And now, thank God for video evidence illustrating the opposite. Like it just continues this like Texas Tech versus everybody of like, hey, like we're not doing anything wrong. I don't know why you're booing me. We're not doing anything wrong. And the conclusion by the conference to be like, you know what, $25K for both of y'all, fine. And then let's move on. For me, I was like, whatever, man, just like get it over with. $25K, that should be built into the budget for any kind of athletic department for fines because, it's going to happen. Something's going to happen at some point. When it happened, when we get that out of the way, and there was continued conversation with Yormark and Hokut, and Hokut has this Zoom announcement of like, hey, here's the update on the rule. Like it's going to be 15-yard penalty and a $100,000 fine for every time it happens. Then we enter into this like, and I'll say, do I care that much about the tortilla tradition? No, I don't. I really don't. Like it doesn't, it's a cool little moniker that we get to, and it's fun when everybody's like, I can't believe they throw tortillas. How fun. But at the end of the day, I don't care about it. What I do care about is Texas Tech being picked on for a very arbitrary tradition. And this is very clearly like a very clear Texas Tech focused punishment where it's like, I don't think of any, Arizona State ain't out there throwing tridents on the field, So like, this is very clearly like Texas Tech stop throwing your tortillas on the field because it could, I don't even know what their reasoning behind it is. Disrupts the flow of game, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You could hurt somebody. If you think that's the truth, please go look at the video I retweeted of somebody, a Texas Tech fan, throwing a tortilla at his 1-year-old daughter. She didn't even flinch. So if you're getting hurt by a tortilla, it's on you, buddy. But I think for me at this point in the narrative, like it feels very anti-Texas Tech. And I don't know why. I don't understand, and we've come to understand that Leipold kind of brought this up in a vote over the summer, or whatever. Like, hey, and we shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be doing this. So let's all take a vote that we shouldn't be throwing stuff on the field. And ends up being 15-1. Texas Tech takes that, and no discredit to Texas Tech because that's whenever you are like the one person who is outed. The best thing any media team can do is take that and then create momentum behind it. Because then it's like, hey, Texas Tech versus everybody. You know what? Fine. I will show you how good I am, right? I don't need you to approve of me for me to be the best. And that's what we brought into the season. And now it's getting to a point of like, that was fun and good and great. And we're 6-0, haha. Now it's like, it sounds like I want to bankrupt your program because you aren't falling into line. And that's when it gets for me like this. Hey, this ain't about football, man. There's something really weird about this where this is like Yormark's like sense of control over the conference, which is very sterile when we're talking about college athletics. It's like, hey, I want this to be the best business I can run. And I applauded him for that when we brought him on. If like in terms of business, he's a businessman. But the thing he misses is that these are like college teams that have been around longer than he's been alive, longer than his dad's been alive, right? That we have traditions and things that we do and things that we rally around. It's not a corporation. It's a fandom that's filled with not prospective students, right? Current students, alumni, people rallying around this common idea and like allowing that to affect, positively or negatively how they feel for a couple of days in the week. But like, this is very much an identity that we get to enjoy as a collective. And the tortillas have become a like integral piece of that. Like it is synonymous with Texas Tech at this point. And for the conference to turn and go, you know what, we're not doing that anymore. And for it to be the conference's decision, that's what stinks the most.
Yeah.
Because I think, and we talked about it pre-pod, like I think if it was hey, no students on the field at all, and then suddenly Baylor can't do the Baylor line, which you and I are very opinionated on the opposite ends of whether that's cool or not. But then the same scenario plays out for Baylor, and then Baylor's the one crying wolf of the hell is this about? Why are you trying to cut our traditions? Blah blah blah. And then does the rest of the conference pile on Baylor? No, probably not. Because they're hey, I don't give a shit about that at all. I actually don't care. So I wonder, is the success of Texas Tech this season that breaks the narrative of college football in general? They're having to talk about us on College Game Day now, and some people are really not into that. And some people are, it's why are we talking about Texas Tech? They haven't played anybody, blah, blah, blah. Do whatever we can to put them down. That's what it feels like. Now, is it the reality or not? There's a lot of moving parts, but it feels like I don't want Texas Tech to succeed. How can we kneecap them? How and where can we kneecap them? Let's do the 12.
Well, and not only that, but Joe made a mention of it when we were talking about in our chat, which is if Tech wasn't good, this wouldn't be a problem. Nobody would care. Nobody has cared, right?
Nobody has cared.
Nobody has cared, right? But Tech had a lot of publicity this summer, right? Tech was one game away from the Big 12 championship last year. Got a lot of publicity from this summer, and it was looking to be a juggernaut, and so far has been a juggernaut. And so, if this wouldn't be a big deal if we weren't any good, and it's really no way around it. So, to your point, that vote at the beginning of the season was very targeted, and I don't remember, and maybe it's just maybe there was a time that somebody could tell me that I can't remember, but I can't think of a time where there's been a rule in place that negatively affected one school. Even the horns down rule didn't. It negatively affected the other 9 schools in the conference, but it didn't negatively affect Texas. Right, it actually was a benefit to Texas not having that penalty against them. But I can't think of a time when there was a rule set in place directed at one school. It'd be different if all 16 schools had some tradition of throwing something and they wanted to eradicate it overall. Right, I'd still be upset about it, but it's okay. But that was, like you said, it was very targeted to one university, and then a mid-season rule change because of a lie that was told. Right, it's kind of ridiculous, and I talked about it in the chat. It kind of points to something. My opinion on Brett Yormark, which I think he's done an incredible job for the conference. I think he's been great for the conference. But there's something that innate about him that he consistently misses the mark on, which is that he is a very good marketer, very good administrator when it comes to building a brand, making things popular, what it takes to do these things. Great at all of that. But he doesn't get college sports, and definitely doesn't get college football. And that's been obvious in a lot of various different ways, right? The fact that the scheduling, it is very easy on his end. He's like, well, it's easier to do a rotating schedule where you change it every year you play new teams. So that's just easy. So we do it that way. Instead of thinking how important rivalry games are, that the TCU Baylor should be playing every year, the Tech TCU should be playing every year, that BYU Utah should be playing everywhere. Iowa State Kansas State should be playing every year, right? The Houston UCF should be playing every year, even though they don't think they're rivals. Newsflash, they are. Newsflash to them, they are. But anyway, he doesn't get that. He doesn't understand that. And so with traditions, for example, he doesn't understand how important traditions are. And a lot of it is because he thinks that everything's quantifiable. Brands are quantifiable, right? Bottom line. But he doesn't see rivalry games and traditions and certain innate college football things as quantifiable, but they are, right? The tortilla toss, one of the reasons why I love the tortilla toss, we didn't do it when we were in school. We talked about this before. Jeremy, you and I didn't do the tortilla toss at Tech in the late 2000s, early 2010s. But the one thing I love about the tortilla toss, it is a cool tradition that other people that are not Tech fans and want to emulate. They're like, oh man, that's pretty cool. That's a cool thing that's brought up. And so that adds to it. It's in the freaking video game, right? In the video game, when you play out the kickoff, there's tortillas flying. Right? That's a really cool thing. It's no different than the Iowa wave to the kids. Well, it's very different than Iowa wave. But my point is it's a really cool tradition. The tradition of dotting the I at Ohio State. The tradition of the Seminole going and putting the spear in the ground at the beginning of Florida State games. But all these traditions add to that bottom line. So when you have a cool one, like a tortilla toss that everybody participates in, right? You should want to protect that as a conference. As a conference, what you should want to do is protect this tradition and have it. Now, if you want to limit it. At first, I was kind of against even limiting it, but I think I've changed my opinion on that a little bit. Of like, hey, we want to limit it. We want to make it a cool thing. We want to I think you made a comment before of like, what if you don't have to sneak tortillas in anymore? Everybody gets a tortilla as they walk into the stadium. That'd be really cool. And you do it. Hey, at this moment in time, the kickoff, throw the tortillas. That'd be dope. Right? But the fact that you are now doing this thing to eradicate it, I think is absolutely ridiculous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I think it's the conference, like you mentioned, the conference targeting one school to do this is absolutely ridiculous. Flip side, I think some of the fan reaction, because I was part of the being upset, and it's one of those things where you're so upset and like how dare you, and then you see like some of your peers that are also upset going to the next level, and you're like, you know what, I'm not that upset actually.
Yeah.
So like everyone's like, yeah, this is and I had this thought too, funny enough. So I realized I had to walk it back after seeing some of these tweets, which is, mark this down as the day Texas Tech decided to leave the conference, right? And so I also had the thought to my head, and I was like, you know what? Now I'm starting to see red and black SEC banners, and like, I take it back. I'm not that bad. Y'all are being, we're being a little Aggie. Not gonna lie.
That's right.
We're being a little Aggie with this whole. We've been 6 games into this juggernaut season. It's time for us to go to the SEC.
That's right.
We're being a little Aggie. So I think we do need to relax a little bit there. Like we're being a little just as insane. But I do think it's kind of ridiculous from the conference. Well, last thing that I'm going to say is that I also think it's a little bit ridiculous that Tech administration, Kirby Hocutt, Robert Giovanetti, and everybody is kind of just accepting it. Right. And obviously we don't know what's going on behind closed doors or if there was a screw match or anything like that. But I'm not a big fan of the fact of like, I loved that they fought back in the summer. I'm not a big fan of like, okay, well, just $100,000 fines. We got to find a way to get rid of it. I think and I know Kirby Hocutt, I know you listen to our pod. I know you're a big fan of the pod, even though, we've been critical of you at times, many times. But I know you still listen. All right. So I think this is how we do it, Jeremy. We designate a tortilla toss time, whether that is opening kickoff, whether that is after the first quarter ends, whether that's at halftime, whatever. I don't want to do it at the end of the game because we may not win every game. So it's not safe for that. But whenever. Designated tortilla toss time, right? And give everybody a tortilla at the end of the stadium and make that part of the trip. That is how you funnel this to something positive, right? If it was, I remember Gangnam Style, and it was, what was it? What was that challenge where everybody was being normal and then the beat dropped and everyone went crazy? Harlem
Shake?
Harlem Shake, yes.
Yeah.
So like what you do is, the thing that came to me, the Harlem Shake it. So everybody has a tortilla in their hand, and then when the beat drops, everybody throws it. You do it between the first and second quarter. That's how you can funnel it. All right? But I'd much rather you channel the tortilla, channel this cool tradition into a positive way that wouldn't be, and then just saying, oh well, we're just probably gonna have to ban it. Like that's ridiculous. Because let's be real, you got to know your fans, and you tell all these 70,000 Texas Tech fans that they can't do something, we gonna do it. We just gonna tell y'all to pay the money.
That's
it's
right.
Not our money.
It ain't coming out of my pocket. That's
sure. We're gonna tell you to pay the money because our next home game, the tortillas are gonna be tossed. You just better hope it's gonna be just a one time. So that is my recommendation to Tech administration is to actually give everybody a tortilla, but then you designate an official tortilla toss time overall.
And implement public shaming. If somebody throws a tortilla next to you, we call them out.
Yeah,
get that spotlight on them. But look at this loser.
But here's the thing: you have to make sure because you can spotlight them after the official time, but you gotta incorporate an official time. A good example of this is the Hershey Bears up in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Shout out to the Bears. I went to a couple games. I even went to their Calder Cup playoff game a couple years ago. I'm a world fan. I'm tapped in. But the Hershey Bears, minor league hockey team, they actually have a game every year where they toss teddy bears after the first goal. right? They toss teddy bears after the first goal, and it's donated to the children's center or the children's hospital right after that, and all these teddy bears, and they toss it onto the ice. One of the best traditions in all of sports. What if we did that after the first Texas Tech touchdown? Tortillas are tossed, right? It's not gameplay. It's not none of that. It's like designate an official tortilla time, and then like you mentioned. Then that's the designated tortilla time. So if you toss it any other time, you're just kind of a JA, a jackwagon, right? Like, but you got to designate that time, because if we don't designate the time, then we're just doing it all willy nilly. You know what I mean? So that is my recommendation overall. But I still think it's absolutely ridiculous that the conference is trying to bully us. So, all right. Well, Jeremy, we went over our time. Anything else you want to say to the people?
7-0. I hope so.
7-0 do come. Come on, Jeremy.
7-0.
Yeah, say it with your chest, my brother. All right. So for the timid Jeremy Gillen, this is your boy Albie Shore, and you've been listening to the Tortillas and Takes podcast, part of the 1012 What Network. If you're watching on YouTube, you see the banner. Stay wrecked, people.